Hey everyone, welcome back to another lesson here on the channel. Today we're going to be covering just how many units you need to order for your first Amazon product and how much you need to have saved up so that you can continue to keep that product in stock. It's going to be a good one. Be sure to stick around to the end of today's video. Be sure to subscribe down below if you're new. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy at any point during the video. Other than that, let's get right into it. All right, so we have arrived in the computer. The main thing that people get stuck on is really like these two issues, right? So it's like, how much money do I need to launch my product? And then how much money do I need to keep that product in stock? I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't have a good answer to how much money you need because it's going to depend on what you're launching. I've needed $5,000 to $7,000 for some launches. I've needed $1,200 for some launches. It really depends, right? So there's no magic number. You don't save up to this magic number and then you're good to go. General rule of thumb is that you should have several $1,000s, right? I like to say $3,000. I think that's a good amount for photography, getting your inventory, getting something small that you can keep in stock, and then having enough to kind of restock that product. That's assuming you're spending a little bit more than $1,000 on inventory, you're spending $250 on photography, you're spending $100 on copywriting, you're spending, 20 bucks on the insert card, all that stuff. And then you still have, enough for the next order. What I would like to kind of cover today, this is just something I was thinking about because I have a lot of indoor plants and I need some bamboo stakes for those suckers because they're getting big. Anyway, what we need to cover is kind of how much money would I need to enter this specific product, right? We're just gonna pick a product. I'm gonna kind of basically run through it because what I think would be more helpful is instead of just going through arbitrary numbers, picking a product so you could see my thought process behind like how I would know if I can afford to truly launch this product. So don't launch a product on Amazon until you understand this point. Because it sucks going out of stock. So for instance here, we can see that one of the main things I'm looking at is just the average price of the product. That's gonna be a really good indicator of how expensive it's gonna be for you to launch that product. Products that sell between $15 and $20, usually source those for $3 to $4. Products that sell for $20 to $30, usually looking at maybe $6 to $9 to source those products. And then it keeps kind of going up and it kind of stays at that ratio. It's a pretty similar ratio. You're generally going to be spending about 25 to 30% of the sales price on the goods itself. Best case scenario, you're in that 15 to 20% of the sales price. Worst case scenario, you're spending closer to 35, 40% of your sales price for the product. It goes both ways. Ideally, we want to be in the latter or the prior, not the latter. So in this situation, I'm looking at this, I'm going, okay, first of all, let's just say that I'm going to be selling like the 16-inch ones for indoors. Those ones seem to be doing really well. I searched for indoors. 16-inch, they're about that long. They're not going to be selling, we're not going to be selling, super incredibly long ones. Maybe what I do is I take this up to 17.5 inches, just because that way I stay within large standard size. You can't go over 18 inches on the longest side. I get a little bit of leeway with the packaging, so half an inch for. Probably just put this in a small box. And then the customers see mine as just a slight advantage because I remember when I was picking mine, I did end up buying these. I was looking for like a little bit more than 16 inches because imagining I was like, okay, like maybe 5 inches go into the pot. That only leaves like, less than a foot above the ground. Plant's getting pretty tall. So those are things to think about. So on the differentiation side, you want to kind of set yourself aside. But when I'm thinking about money-wise, I'm going, okay, first of all, I've covered this recently. When the sales come in, we generally want to be selling or ordering about the average number of sales for the first 30 days for our main competitors. We're not looking at everyone. We're kind of looking for maybe the ones that are for indoor plants and the ones that are in the smaller size. So maybe we break that down into the fact that there's like 7 to 12 main competitors that we consider like our direct competition that have similar size products for similar reasons. What are the average sales of those? If I figured out those between 3 to 500, I would split the difference, right? Maybe I order 400 units for my first month. That gives me that probably gives me 45 days to 50, 55 days if my product is successful, because the first week or two our ranking, and then I have that 30-day average as, you know, back stock. And there are some things we can do, like raising our price to prevent from going out of stock. But one of the main things that I would be interested in doing would be just right off the bat ordering 400 units. So I'd ask myself, you know, I go to Alibaba, I'd see that maybe these are $3 a piece, all in. That's maybe low, but for the sake of math, 400, that's $1,200. Okay, so out of my $3,000, there we go. There's $1,200 on inventory. Now we already said it's gonna be maybe about $400 or $500 after the fact, just getting this to look like a beautiful professional listing, good packaging and all that. So maybe now we're sitting somewhere around 1,600. Well, guess what? Now the product comes in, I have another 30 days of inventory that I could order out of my own pocket to keep this in stock for my second order. That's the bare minimum. Being able to afford 2 orders of a product, you're really cutting it close, because with Amazon, capital's king, right? You have to be able to invest into your products, and you have to be able to fund those products. A lot of the time, it's not instant gratification and instant profit. Anyone who tells you like 30 days after starting to sell on Amazon, you're going to be making profit. Well, yeah, technically, like at a per unit level, you're profiting, but all in, you're probably not yet. You know, in certain situations, you truly are. Like I've had products where I was legitimately all in profitable and pulling profit out 30 days later from the launch date of the product. But that's not always the case. So we're going to go the net average here, not the, you know, outliers of this situation. My final kind of recommendation for both myself and anyone listening, well, technically I can't give financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor. But what I would do is I would have at least 3 times the amount that I need for a specific product to launch that product. So if it was going to cost me $2,000 photography inventory first round to launch that product, I want about $6,000 just saved up ready for that product. So don't think that if you have 10 grand, you can go and launch 10 $1,000 products. Because what if 7 of those become awesome and they start selling like crazy? Well, guess what? Might as well have only launched 2 of them and been able to keep them in stock. If you don't keep your product in stock, you don't make money. If you don't keep your product in stock, it loses its rank, and then you have to spend money to get back to where you were. It's a vicious, vicious cycle. So if you're watching this today, that's what I would do. I would save 3 times the amount of money needed. If you're thinking about starting and maybe, you know, right now you have $2,000, well, guess what? That's 3 times 650, I think. Something like that, right? So can I launch a product for that much? Well, probably not. So maybe you have to get to $3,000 to start. And so now if I have $1,000 for the first order, and I have 3 times that amount necessary to get to the next one. Does that make sense? You could have 2 additional reorders, then some money starts coming in. Maybe you start paying for that product out of the money that you're getting paid from that product. So essentially, you should be able to keep your product in stock for 3 to 6 months on your own capital. I think that makes sense. That's being just like lenient. Of course, there's always situations where you can go the other way. And as you start building up your capital in your business, with your Amazon FBA business, you start to run into interesting situations, because now it's like, okay, maybe I have $20,000 in my business bank account, have 2 successful products. Do I want to launch one product that requires $7,000 for the first order, and then I have, you know, additional reorders for those products, and this is assuming I'm already able to keep all my other products in stock? Or do I want to launch 4 different products that cost a fraction of that, right? Maybe products that cost $1,600 or $1,700 each. These are all questions you have to start asking yourself. It's not really what today's video is about, but it is interesting. I've always been interested in kind of the management, cash flow. How do you turn, you know, your capital into the most amount of capital in 3 months from now? Those are all interesting questions. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. So I, of course, whenever I come across an example, like to share it with you and get my points across. So if you stuck around to the end, I appreciate you. be sure to like down below so that I know you made it this far. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss videos like this in the future. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you next time. Later.